Well, hello and welcome to Assay TV. Today we're talking with Excellon Resources, and I'm delighted to have their president and CEO, Brendan Cahill, on the line. Brendan, good to see you this evening.
Thanks, Leo. Great to be here.
Excellon Resources, you've got a sort of geographically diverse portfolio of projects there. You have your producing silver mine, Platosa, in Mexico, and also you have a pipeline of exploration and development assets in North America, in the USA, in Idaho, and also in Germany. If we could start maybe with the Platosa mine, your producing mine. You just had your Q3 results, I believe. How's the mine performing?
It's performing great. Real turnaround at Platosa. You know, we've been in production for 15 years now, since 2005. Mexico's highest grade silver producer during that time. And there's definitely been some challenges in the operation over that time. But, you know, through this, 2020, the year that everybody wants to forget, we really managed to turn the operation around. And in Q3, we saw record mine tonnage from the operation of around just under 22,000 tons. We had almost record mill tonnage. Our revenue was up by about 56%. Our production cost per ton down by about 22%, and our all-in sustaining cost down by about 29%. So real transformation in the operation, and there's more to come. The key part, or the last part of our kind of transformation of our cost profile, is going to a private electricity provider, and that was completed in early Q4. So that aspect isn't in those results yet, but we should see them coming out in Q4. So we're excited for the operation right now.
Costs?
In Q3, they were $18.92, so definitely still room to improve. The good thing about Platosa, though, it's a 2 million silver equivalent ounce a year producer. That's what we did in 2019. It'd be different in 2020 because production was shut down in Q2 because of the pandemic. But at these metal prices, it generates good cash flow to pay for all of our expenses and our bigger exploration goals on this global empire of projects that we have.
Mm-hmm. And there's also exploration upside at Platosa, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're always drilling underground to define and expand resources, these high grade resources that we're mining. And we're mining at grades of well over 1,000 grams per ton silver equivalent. Not many silver projects can say that globally. But we have a target about 11 kilometers to the northwest called Jaboncillo, where we've got a footprint that's about 25 times the size of Platosa. Big alteration zone. We discovered it in 2018. We know there's a gossinous horizon there. It's been oxidized, but we know that it used to be mineralized. We're trying to get into the sulfide part of the system there, and that could be a very transformational event for the company. And then PDN is a target just north of the mine, a big geophysical anomaly associated with the Skarn discovery we made in 2012. There we're looking for a big gold copper bulk tonnage target at depth. So that will be drilling, I think, early next year at this stage. Lots going on in terms of drilling at Platosa right now.
And you mentioned your production was up, but what are your actual numbers there in terms of ounces?
So in Q3, 524,000 silver equivalent ounces. So kind of on that pace for around 2 million silver equivalent ounces a year. We're kind of a victim of the silver prices right now in some respects. They've so outperformed base metal prices that we don't get the silver equivalency from base metals that we used to. But when you kind of normalize the prices, this is really one of our strongest quarters of production since 2014 or 13 or so, when we saw some much higher silver prices in the operation.
And you've also you have this project, the Kilgore Project in Idaho, which you recently bought from I think Otis Mining. The previous owners had done a PEA on it. What have you bought there?
Yeah, so we acquired Otis Gold in April of this year. And really it was part of a response to this move, the precious metals bull market developing, seeing gold go through 1,400 in the spring of 2019. And we saw this disconnect between the value of gold on the market versus the value of ounces in the ground. And we bought Otis for $22 million Canadian in shares. And with that, we got basically 1.1 million ounces of gold all in. So less than $20 an ounce acquisition cost. And that PEA, we negotiated the deal at $1,500 gold. At $1,800 gold, this project has an NPV of over $300 million. So a really accretive transaction for the company. But there's lots of million ounce deposits out there, not with as good economics, but it's the growth opportunity here that we really are excited about for 2021 and beyond. The project is about 14,000 hectares right now. You've got your 1,000,000 ounces, lots of room to expand that resource, get to your 10 years of mine life at 100,000 plus ounces a year on that project. But then as we move around this caldera that the deposit sits on the edge of, lots of gold showings that have never been followed up on. So drilling those regional targets, finding more Kilgore style deposits, that's part of the focus. On top of that, the Kilgore deposit is associated with this Aspen formation, which underlies the region. And there, drill results of up to 95 meters at 4.2 grams per ton have been hit. Very little drilling into that part of the system. So that's a key part of our exploration focus as well. Do that high grade, structurally focused drilling and really try to unlock the whole region and find an underground aspect to the project as well.
So those sort of grades have been discovered on your property, the property you're actually holding at the moment.
Yeah, so 95 meters at 4.2, 31 meters at 5.4. This is diamond drilling. This is structurally controlled drilling, not RC. So just not a lot of work done on that aspect of the project at all yet.
And what is your plans to get back in there and do a lot more drilling this year and into next?
Yeah, so right now we're in the permitting phase. It's U.S. Forest Service land. So put in our plan of operations and we'll be working towards the EA in the spring of next year, aiming to be drilling there in the middle of next year and really ramping up a program there. We also have our Oakley project in Idaho as well, which has been optioned out to Centerra Gold, and they're spending up to $7 million over the next 6 years to earn into up to 70%. 160,000 ounces there right now, but a really exciting kind of resource growth and exploration play or discovery play that we manage, they fund, and we should be drilling there very, very shortly now.
Fantastic. And you also have a project over in Germany, in Saxony. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating project. It was an area that was mined for 800 years, 164 square kilometers or 36 kilometers of strike along the Bronsdorf trend just north of Freiburg. We call the project Silver City because Freiburg is known as Silberstadt, Silver City in Germany. So we weren't that creative in creating this name, but mining widths and grades 3,000 to 4,000 grams per ton, narrow widths on this epithermal system all the way up to 10 meters. And we're trying to follow up from these old workings that were mined for hundreds of years. Mining only stopped because Germany moved off the silver standard in 1873, went to the gold standard, dropped that in World War II, and then history took over. And it became part of East Germany after World War II. And under the Soviet influence, there really wasn't a lot of focus on precious metals. The mining was done more to the southeast in the base metal rich part of the system. There's a big lead smelter in operation until the late 1960s. So we've been drilling on this project now since early July, waiting for assay results to come back. I'm sure many of the people you talk, everybody's waiting for assay results to come back right now. It's kind of the bane of the bull market, waiting for assays, but really excited about this project. Everything from the permitting through the community support. We have a research and development agreement with the Helmholtz Institute, a high technology institute for mining in the town of Freiburg. The University of Freiburg is a famous geological and metallurgical university. So we get to work with PhDs, top-notch PhDs all the time. It's really a perfect environment at a time when people are starting to bring exploration and mining back closer to home. Both from sustainability and the threat to supply chains that we've seen over the last decade and then exacerbated by the pandemic, this is really an important time for European mining, and we're right in the thick of it.
How did you get involved in a German project, though?
It was an idea that was pitched by a German geologist who worked with a company called Globex, which is a prospect generator out of Quebec. 160 projects in North America, just a fascinating portfolio of assets. And so I was in Munich and he pitched the idea to me and I was kind of dismissive at first. I was like, we're not going to Saxony, even if it is the next Fresnillo. But, once we did our research, and one of our mantras at Excellon is never say no without first asking how, we really started to dig into it and realized we had some connections there. And then we went for a visit and could see this opportunity, met with the mayors, met with the regulators, met with the community. And, it was just one of those opportunities you couldn't turn away from. We were looking for opportunities for high grade discovery globally. And this is, the one we chose to pursue.
And one project we haven't talked about, your Evolution project down again in Mexico, a polymetallic project. SRK recently completed a technical report there. What have you defined so far at Evolution, and what are your next steps?
Yeah, so Evolucion is where our mill actually is. So we actually have a mill right beside this new study that's being put out, or this new resource estimate that's being put out. And it's 100 million ounces silver equivalent, 35 million ounces silver equivalent indicated, and 65 million ounces inferred. Silver, lead, zinc deposit, very leveraged to zinc and silver, of course. And we went from a discovery in 2018 of the Lechuza zone, combined that with a historical resource at the Calvario zone, spent about $3 million US to go from discovery through to technical study, and we put together this very high quality asset. You know, right now it's a mostly inferred resource at this stage, so it's kind of going back in the skunk works for a while. We'll put some internal economics on it, plan some more drilling, and move it forward as we move into this bull market in precious metals. And you know, I think base metals are going to follow very soon. And with the leverage this project has to zinc, that's going to be a key part of the consideration for moving it forward more aggressively.
You have, I mean, you have a lot going on, a lot planned for 2021. How are you funding it all? How's your cash looking?
Cash is good, and that's one of the great things. You know, Platosa is a small mine, but it does cover all of these exploration intentions. If we tag into something extraordinary, we've done well financing from the public markets or the debt markets historically. So that's certainly an option, but you know, really looking at those accretive financings to drive something much bigger. But right now, this is exploration, this is looking for discoveries, and that's all being funded from cash flow from Platosa. The other thing I point out is that, you know, despite this panoply of projects globally, we have dedicated teams on each project, and that the strength of these teams has really been improved during the pandemic. You know, developing ideas, pitching them to us, we refine them, and then allocate capital accordingly. And that's how you can move all of these projects forward at once, right? Without without being on a plane all of the time, which is difficult right now, unless you've got a private jet like Bristow.
But I mean, all this technology that we're using, it must be a godsend in these times.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've been on Zoom for 5-6 years now, so it was just kind of a lot more of the same. But definitely, in terms of managing things globally, it's a huge boost.
And in terms of your shareholders, who's on the register?
So Eric Sprott's the big shareholder here at around 13% of the company. And then, key additions recently, Agnico Eagle came in through the Otis transaction. They were financiers of Otis back in 2017, put $5 million in. Van Eck joined, and then we've got a number of ETFs in the story as well. And I think those are going to be huge drivers of value going forward. We just listed on the NYSE. We do have a much broader platform for American ETFs to invest in the company. And these ETFs during this choppy period we've been in the market, they haven't sold a share. They've been buying shares a bit. And when we saw this real turnaround in the metals price and equity market just around the election, we jumped 25% in a day, 33% in 2 days as the generalist flow started to coming into the space. We only have 32 million shares outstanding. So once the flow starts coming in, the stock really starts to move. And that was intentional, looking at being as exposed to this precious metals bull market as we could possibly be.
Well, it's definitely exciting times for everybody, and you've got a lot to look forward to next year, I think. It's been fascinating talking with you today and finding out more about Excellon Resources. Thank you very much, Brendan.
Thanks, Leo. Have a great day.